One of the themes that I think is probably a candidate for the word of the year is uncertainty, or some derivation of uncertainty. Because if you look at the bank's communique, they mentioned uncertainty or uncertain 4 times. And that's a little bit less than what they did in April, which I believe was 10 times. So maybe that's a sign of some clarity, but ultimately it's really one that the bank is trying to navigate through. So we're still dealing with the steady drumbeat of tariff headlines. We're still trying to manage signs that the economy is slowing down. The bank was very clear in acknowledging that a lot of activity had been pulled forward into the first quarter of the year. So the second quarter was likely to be weak. And there's a pretty significant risk that the remainder of the year is weak. So that's something that the bank would want to respond to. But in order for them to respond to that, they really need to have confidence that inflation is coming down. And this is where the bank was a little bit less optimistic, is they had noted certainly that inflation was stronger than what they had predicted. And if firms continue to pass on the impact of tariffs to consumer prices, there's a risk that inflation expectations stay elevated and the inflation story doesn't go away. So the Bank of Canada doesn't have the ability really to cut interest rates further from here, because ultimately in choosing between the rock and the hard place of slower growth or elevated inflation, it's really inflation that they need to be firmly focused on.